Big win over the Atlanta Hawks with a game-winning shot from one Ayo Dosunmu. We're going to break it all down, talk about it right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, the Bulls got their second win in a row off of a air ball miss from DeMar DeRozan, but Ayo Dosunmu scooped that mug right on up, hit the game-winning shot, and then the Bulls proceeded to celebrate on top of the carcass of John Collins as he lays at the bottom.
I saw that. I was like, that's tough, bro.
Hey, that's
get John out of there, bro. Get him out of there.
Hey, bro, how are you part of the winning team's celebration unwillingly? Like, I've never seen something like that before. That's crazy.
Hey, bro,
but the Bulls get their payback against the Atlanta Hawks after the Atlanta Hawks hit a game-winning shot with 0.4 seconds left on the clock. We had a little bit more time than that. What do you think about this game from the Chicago Bulls and how they played throughout this game?
I think for 78% of the game, the Chicago Bulls played a great game. I thought offensively the ball moved well. I thought that they played really good defense. I thought that they forced Trae Young. And Trae Young was cooking early, right? Like, he was absolutely cooking Alex Caruso.
29 points in the first half from Trae Young, only 5 in the second half.
That tells you something there, Billy Donovan. I don't know if you know that or not, but hey, but no, I thought the Bulls played great for, like I said, about 78% of this game. I thought there was still some issues. I love that Ayo Dosunmu hit this game winner. I'm glad he was there. Patrick Williams, clutch down the stretch. Zach LaVine, 2 huge buckets down the stretch, right? But nah, we're not going to talk about that right now. Nah, I'm excited that the Bulls got this win. I'll say this. It's a much-needed win. I'm seeing things that you did in the game before translate into this game. We'll get into some of the issues that I have later. But we're going to start off excited on this one, man.
So, yeah, in this game again, all big three over 20 points again for the third game in a row, and I think the 5th or 6th time this season, but the third game in a row that they did that, the second win in a row in which they did that. The ball movement, after Alex Caruso went down, the ball movement and defense hit a steep fall off. They were able to bring it back in when needed, but I do want to point that out as well. Yeah. What do you think about the play? Because this is the story, so much going on about Zach LaVine. How do you think Zach played today?
I thought Zach played really well. I thought he did things that, listen, I understand it again, right? Like, we paid him a lot of money to be our best player on the team. That's the one thing that we can focus in on. Mm-hmm. And I think scoring-wise, right, we haven't seen Zach be that same player that we're accustomed to him being. But what I love is 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Again, no low turnovers, only 2 turnovers in this game. Able to get a steal. I think he's doing things on both ends, and he's stepping up, and he's putting himself in good positions on both ends to make plays. Now, the shooting, 8 of 16, right? I would love to see him get more than 16 shots in the situation. I think that this was a game where he could have gotten some more looks, but also I think that he's taking what the defense is giving him, and he's taking really good shots. I can live with that. You know what I mean? Like,
only 2 3-pointers from Zach LaVine this whole game, and there's 1 for 2 in that.
But you know what? Even better, right? Again, talking about Zach improving, talking about Zach playing smart. We just played a game last night. Come into the second game, what's the first thing to go?
Shooting.
Your legs.
Yeah.
Your legs the first thing to go. Zach LaVine jumps very high on his 3-point shot. Like, really ridiculously high. Like, up and out. So, like, there's a lot of push with the legs on the 3-point shot. And usually in those second or back-to-backs, right, your legs is the first thing to go. So in playing in the second of these back-to-backs, I like that he was trying to get to the line. I like that they were attacking. I like that he was understanding the situation, right, trying to go to the rim while John Collins is in there. Him and DeMar kind of did that while John Collins is in there, right, trying to get John Collins that 5th foul to foul out of the game there. I thought there was some really good really good IQ moments from this Bulls team in this game. I thought that on the defensive end, right, they got a little out of sorts with it. And the only thing I'll say is in the second half, I thought just way too many 3-pointers. Way too many. Like I'm fine with you using the 3-ball to your advantage, but you also have to understand, okay, this shot's not falling and they're not giving it to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I get it if they're giving it to you, but going away from Vooch in the paint just makes no sense in the second half to me, and I think it's a big reason why you got down.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why I did point out the ball movement, because it changed considerably with Alex Caruso not being out there. And one of those things, they didn't go to Vooch. They didn't identify the mismatches as quickly as what Alex Caruso does either. And it changed. Now Alex Caruso has officially been placed in the concussion protocol, so that means you can kiss Alex Caruso goodbye for at least the next 2 games, and probably more than that.
But got to see some Terry time.
We did get to see some Dalen Terry. 5 minutes from Dalen Terry in this game, and he got switched on to Trae Young on a possession, and he guarded Trae Young pretty well. Now, again, it's hard to really judge a player. It's a bit hard to judge a player in only 5 minutes of play, but I tell you what, if Javonte's still going to be down, if Goran Dragic's still going to be down, and now Alex Caruso's going to be down too, we're going to see some Dalen Terry. We're going to see some Dalen.
Well, and the big thing there is, right, like that's what you're supposed to do. That's how Ayo got in. You got to step up in those moments. You got to play up in those moments, right? And now it's on him. And here's the thing. Now, only a couple of plays, right? But now you get he's got some tape versus Trae Young, or tape versus players that you actually can point out and say, hey, in this situation, like there was 2 plays that stood out to me that Dalen Terry did. The first one is he went to set a screen on for DeMar DeRozan to try and get Trae Young switched on to him, and just ran away. Didn't really set the screen, runs away. Onyeka Okongwu stays on DeMar, and Trae Young follows Dalen Terry down. That's not the setup of that. I can't say I know the exact setup, but I'm assuming like they've done all night, you're trying to get Trae Young onto DeMar because DeMar's not going to play defense. The other play that stood out to me from him was guarding Trae Young on that one play. And he did a great job the entire time until Trae Young pump faked. And then he jumped out of his Nikes, which apparently is a theme with the Bulls as well. So maybe like whoever's teaching them like is also just teaching them to jump. I don't know what that is. But now you can point to those things and say, I want to improve these things. Let's make you better here. And that's real tape. So I'm glad to see him get some time on the floor. Hopefully Alex Caruso is back soon. You could see instantly that he was concussed. He was laying there.
Oh, yeah.
He was like opening and closing his hands, trying to like, I guess, get the stars out of his eyes. I don't know what all that was, man. Like you knew what it was immediately. Just got run over. And were you mad at the ref for the no call on that? I felt like that was a 50-50.
I do feel like it was a 50-50. I feel like, but considering the shoulder made impact with the head, I think that should have got called for a foul, in my opinion.
But also, right, like, I don't know. For me, I felt like a call should have been made. I also feel like I couldn't have looked at either way if it would have went either way and been like, yeah, that's the right call.
I feel you there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't hate the no call in that situation, but because he goes down, you hate it even more.
For sure. Staying on positive. Now I know we talked about them getting away from playing through Vooch. No, you know what? Let's take away from that. Let's talk about Billy Donovan's coaching today before we end this segment. How do you feel about the job Billy Donovan did with the X's and O's tonight?
You know what? I thought Billy Donovan did a good job. I thought Billy did some really good switches tonight. I thought, listen, the defensive lineup, right, for everybody that's like, you're not going to switch. Or you're not going to see Billy Donovan make any adjustments. The adjustment tonight was great. You had Ayo Dosunmu playing up top on Alex Caruso, and then you had P. Will coming off of that guarding Okongwu.
He shut John Collins
and he was switching from John Collins and Okongwu all night, right? So he's going back and forth between those two, and they're setting the screen for Trae Young. So then, and on DeJounte Murray, right? So every time there's a screen to get that switch, P. Will's switching on to him. I thought that was a really good defensive setup. And you know what? I'll say this as well. Billy Donovan, for everybody that's like, he doesn't run an offense. He doesn't do. Listen, there were some sets in there. I need y'all to not just watch the ball. Stop just watching the ball. Watch what's happening on the rest of the court. There was some sets in there that they used to set up beautifully to get the small man on Vooch. I mean, like literally screen coming off of Zach LaVine. DeMar runs through, sets another screen. Zach gets open. Switch comes there. Vooch sets the screen. Now all of a sudden, you got DeJounte Murray guarding Vooch in the post. And we saw that in the last game. I thought that I was sitting there. I'm like, that's a beautiful offense that you're running there. And like I said, we ran it for about 78% of the season or 78% of the game. I loved it. I loved it for that 78%.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some of the more negative side of the Chicago Bulls game tonight coming up next. But first, before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about this message from NHTSA. Did you know that driving high is considered driving under the influence? That's right. Driving under the influence of marijuana is against the law in every state, even in states where marijuana is legal. That means you driving high could get you a DUI. And if you think law enforcement officers can't tell that you're driving high, you're wrong. Your friends can tell, your coworkers can tell, even your parents can tell. Everyone can tell. So what makes you think that law enforcement officers don't know when you're driving high? Driving under the influence of marijuana can slow your response time and change how you perceive time and speed. So even if you think you're fine to drive when you're high, you're not. Because the bottom line is, if you feel different, you drive different. And driving high is driving under the influence. So remember, drive high, get a DUI, paid for by NHTSA.
We want to thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. For your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories around the sports world in 20 minutes or less, plus instant reaction, game recaps, and Locked On's takes of the day. Locked On Sports Today, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Pat. So I'm going to turn it over to you first on this one because you have a pretty big negative that I do agree with, but I want to hear the way that you present this. So I know you have some issues with the play of DeMar DeRozan, especially down the stretch of this game. Go ahead, brother.
So I keep saying 78%, right? 78% of the game, the Chicago Bulls ran a really good offense. And there was a moment in the third quarter where DeMar just said, hey, I'm just going to take these shots. Now, a lot of people have beef with the end of the second quarter. I don't have beef with the end of the second quarter because they put John Collins back into the game. John Collins had 4 fouls at that point, I believe. And DeMar driving downhill, trying to force John to get that 5th foul. I like that. Right? I like that. But going into the third, we didn't need it anymore. There was an offense that was being run that legit was that Atlanta didn't figure out. Atlanta didn't slow it down. You just went away from it. And so I need to know, why does DeMar DeRozan feel the need to just say, I know that that's working, but now I'm going to get up 7 shots in a row. All of them are going to get blocked. I'm not going to get a foul call on one of them. And I'm going to put us further out of position. You went from up 8 to down 6, all in the span of DeMar driving to the bucket. Oh, and by the way, not getting back on defense on Adrian Griffin Jr. as he's knocking down wide open threes.
Bro, DeMar DeRozan have it's clear he has a medical
First
condition.
Off, you
it's
saying
called
DeMar. You saying DeMar. Say his name.
DeMar DeRozan has a deficiency. It's called defensive-itis. Like literally the man is not allowed to play defense. If he goes to play defense, his body will shut down.
Bro, I don't know. I don't know what, like, I literally was just watching it and I was like, he's just not running it. Like, literally. And here's the best part about it. It's just him. It's just him. They took him out for 1 play. No, they took him out for like 2 plays. First play out. Ball comes in. Zach gets it, throws it to Ayo. Ayo points Vooch to the paint. Vooch goes down to the paint. He throws the ball down to Vooch. Vooch gets it. Backs down, spins off, kicks the ball back up to P. Will for a wide open 3-pointer. He didn't knock it down, but it was so wide open. And you instantly realized, hey, Billy Donovan's offense works. There's just one piece in it that doesn't want to do it. And so, listen, I'm going to be real with you. I'm teetering towards, if anything is going to happen with this team that changes, trade DeMar. I'm not saying I'm there yet. Hear me now. I want this.
You're not on the bus, but you're walking to the ticket box to buy your ticket.
Man, not even. I might have the ticket, bro. I ain't made it to the bus stop yet to figure out if that's gonna be my destination. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm there yet. But bro, I literally watched him dismantle the Bulls offense and us go up from up 8 to down 6. Single-handedly.
Hold on, because I got to address this. Imagine quoting box score stats when people are talking about what they actually saw in the game. Like that's what irritates me about lazy basketball fans, is the ones that just watch the box score and think that tells them the totality of a game. Yeah, he scored 26 points, 6 and 5 and 1 steal. Thumbs up. But guess what? He gave up easily 18 easy points on offense. So that net score is 10. He scored a net positive of 10 points. Shout out, DeMar. The way that casual fans ignore the lack of defense from DeMar DeRozan is disgusting, because those same fans, without watching the game, will say, oh, Zach needs to step it up. Are you not watching this guy? I get it. He does amazing things at times. He dribbles and pump fakes better than anybody. He is the best difficult shot maker in the NBA. But guess what? The dude is not playing any defense. He's not even trying on the defensive end. Last game, I'll give you, he tried last night. Tonight, he literally looked at it and said, "No, man, I gave y'all last night, bro. I don't know what you want from me."
But see, here's the wild part, right? Here's the wild part for me. I think he did play some defense in this game.
Yeah, well, listen. You don't get paid
early,
to think.
right? No,
I'm just playing.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Early in the game, DeMar had a couple nice steals, played the passing lanes well, played some defense, right? Literally, but it's the moment that he said, "I'm gonna get to the bucket." It was gone, and here's the reason why: because he's got to sell the reason why he missed. He's going to the bucket. He's going for a lay. Gets blocked by Okongwu clean. He's laying on the ground, holding the head. What happened? I'm dazed. Me and Caruso heading towards the same thing. I don't know. Meanwhile, on the other end, Adrian Griffin Jr. is wide open, knocking down the 3 to put you up 5. Right? That's the part that I have beef with. Listen, I love DeMar. I want DeMar to be a Bull. I want him to play here. I want us to figure this out. I'm not here for trade DeMar. But when I watch 78% of a game work, legit work, the offense worked. They ran it. I saw it. It worked. And then for literally 8 minutes straight, just one guy slowly destroy that. It was crazy, dog.
Yeah.
It was, sure. And it was the one time where I looked at it and I was like, wow, he really just played us out of this game. And
the thing with DeMar that's frustrating is this. And like I said, does amazing things. And but it's the way that we rely on him heavily, and how he's just not the same player in the clutch that he was last season. And don't get me wrong, we shouldn't expect it to. I've talked all summer about DeMar DeRozan is probably not going to have put together the same season he played last season. But in a game where, like you said, the offense is working, and to the negative side of it, the Bulls, when they faced some adversity, they started going back to the isolation ball. Shout out to them for being able to rein it back in and get back to playing as a team. But the Bulls have to, at some point, just establish the fact that this isolation-heavy team that we have been, we cannot be if we want to find success. We cannot be that.
I think there's a balance here, right? Like I'm not saying that ISO ball is not going to exist, right? Like that's just stupid.
It's going to exist. The isolation ball has its place in basketball.
Yeah.
It's just your offense can't be based on isolation. There are times where going to isolation is going to be beneficial to the team as a whole.
And those times are literally when they can't stop you. The Atlanta Hawks did a great job slowing you down in the third and beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And in those moments where they slow you down, that's all I'm asking is have the realization to say, hey, they're slowing me down. Let's get back to the offense. Let's get back to what's working. I'm not telling you don't play iso ball, right? I'm not telling you that DeMar DeRozan isn't a excellent shot maker. I'm not telling you that DeMar DeRozan can't close out games, right? I'm not telling you none of that. I've watched him do all of it, right? What I'm telling you is have the realization the realization that when it's not falling, my teammates can knock down shots. Vooch can knock down shots. Zach can knock down shots. I can move the ball around. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm looking for from DeMar DeRozan, man. If we get that, bro, like it worked. The offense worked, and it's worked in the last 2 nights.
Yeah. We need to see it can sustain more, right? Because as I've been saying over on Central, you can do things, but you need to continually do it for it to become second nature. We saw with this game that second nature of heavy isolation came back to rear its head a little bit, but they were able to rein it back in. Let's hope they can continue to build on that.
Hey, man, that's the goal, man. That's the goal. Yeah. Hey, we got to get into this last segment, man, because Bulls got 2 wins in a row. Can we keep this thing rolling? But before we do that, we do have to tell you that Locked On Bulls is brought to you and sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, here's the thing. For me, right, I've had a lot of moments in my life where I just wish life came with a user manual. I'll tell you what, had a premature daughter, had no idea what the heck I was doing, wasn't ready to be a dad. All of a sudden, now I'm a dad with a premature daughter. Would have loved to have a user manual on life then. And here's the thing. I could have had it if I had used BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is an online therapy, and it's basically the next best thing, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't come with life doesn't come with a user manual. So when it's not working for you, it's normal to feel stuck. Navigating any of life's challenges can make you feel unsure, whether it's a career change or a new relationship or becoming a parent, right? Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of those challenging emotions, learn productive coping skills, which make therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. BetterHelp has connected over 3 million people with licensed therapists. It's convenient and accessible anywhere and 100% online. Whether or not you've been in therapy personally, talk about the broader. Oh, hold on now. Am I reading the wrong thing here? Reading the wrong thing here. Oh, as the world's largest therapist service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with the therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
All right, Pat. Last segment of the day. The injuries are starting to stack up for the Chicago Bulls, brother. We got Alex Caruso now entering concussion protocol. Javonte Green's missed a couple of games. Goran Dragic missed this game. We got Ayo back recently. He's starting to look like himself again. While not the level of injuries that we had last season where people were out, we were the 4 to 6 weeks team where everybody was out 4 to 6 weeks. The injuries are starting to stack up. How concerned are you personally about those injuries stacking up for the Chicago Bulls?
Still concerned, right? Because here's the thing. These are rotational pieces. These are important pieces to the Chicago Bulls game plan, right? Like even Billy Donovan talked about it in the post game, being down 3 guys coming into this game and then losing Alex, right? Where Alex was getting cooked. I'm not going to lie to you. But Alex was getting cooked on deep 3-pointers from Trae Young. I can almost deal with that a little bit, right? Like, listen, if you knock 5 of them down at the logo, okay. But you saw the stark difference that came in when Ayo was on Trae Young. And I think that's the part that makes me feel a little bit better, right? Because the one thing that we've seen this season is you've seen Ayo end up getting benched. You've seen P. Will end up getting benched. And the question has been, how are they going to respond to that? This is a situation where Ayo came in that second quarter and he played well. He did some things where you look at that team and you're saying, hey, or you look at Ayo and you're like, hey, like, is this just you versus Trae Young, or is this you moving forward, right? Like, are we getting the old Ayo back? Of course, knocking down the game winner, but I thought Ayo played pretty well tonight. Even tallying up 9 points in this one, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Not the Ayo we know, but again, 2 steals on the day. Played some pretty good defense. So I think that this is an opportunity for the Bulls to keep going with that next man up mentality. But I forget who I heard say this. I think it was I don't remember who it was. I think it's Keyshawn Johnson on ESPN 1000. He said, hey, listen, next man up sound great, but they don't actually work, because if you're the next man up, that means that you weren't as good as the man ahead of you.
And that's why people who say, oh, injuries are the excuse, I always look at them and say, I remember last season people were saying injuries aren't an excuse. And I was like, so you're telling me that you would have picked a team starting Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, DeMar DeRozan, and Tony Bradley? You would have picked them to do the same amount of wins as you would a team with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and they were like, no. Okay, then injuries matter. Like, that's so stupid when people like injuries aren't an excuse. You're right. They're not an excuse. They're a reason. Let's be clear. They're a reason. And so one person that I also did miss was Derrick Jones Jr., who also was out. Alex Caruso officially entering concussion protocol. This one's from Darnell Mayberry with The Athletic. So with Javonte, knee, he was out for today because of a knee issue. The thing that worries me with this team is not necessarily, I do think that we have enough talent to overcome. I think that means that there are going to be some players playing heavy minutes if we keep these players out for a short amount of time. Now, the question that I want to throw to you is this: looking at the Bulls schedule, we have another revenge game possibly against the New York Knicks coming up Friday. That gives us a couple of days, and then we have 3 days off, and then we play again next Monday on December 26th after Christmas. And then Milwaukee, December 28th. Do you think we can have, how important is it that we have a fully healthy roster by that Milwaukee game on the 28th?
I think the most important piece you got to have that we're missing right now is Alex Caruso. He's kind of the guy that makes you dig deep and play grimy, right? He's the guy that says get in the mud and we're going to get down here on their level, right? Like, I think that's the most important piece that you can have there. I don't want to see Dalen Terry trying to go, but right, like it's also the most important piece you can have, because Ayo Dosunmu versus Drew Holiday is not a good matchup. We've seen that enough times to know he ain't there yet.
No, not yet.
But what I will say is that I think that your defensive guys are a lot more important in that game, but you've got a lot of those guys still on the floor, right? Like the guys that we're worried about, P. Will versus Giannis. Hey, P. Will. I know you said he's not God, but he looks like God every time he plays you. I know last time not so much. I can't say that last time.
And
last time he did
a couple games in the playoffs, he played pretty good.
Well, even the game this season. Well, no, he did. That second half was crazy. Yeah, no, actually, I take that back. But no, I think it's important. I don't think you have to have everybody back, right? Because here's the thing, right? Everybody back, it makes Billy Donovan, to me, make poor lineup decisions. Because I still don't understand why we just didn't play Andre Drummond for 3 days. Or 3 games, right? Like, and then he comes back in and he's getting 7 rebounds and he's playing really good defense.
11 rebounds in 15 minutes from Andre Drummond today. Wild.
Right. He literally just exists at the rim. I don't even remember him getting 15 rebounds, bro, or 11 rebounds, bro. Like, and the thing is, right? Like, it's a long, when you see those 15 minutes, it's like 9 minutes at a time. Those are important minutes, especially when you're playing through Vooch. And I think that's the game where you want to have, I guess I can't just say Caruso, you want to have Goran Dragic back in that game too, because to me, right, like the game plan there should be, let's play through Vooch, let's move the ball around out of the post, and we're going to throw it down to the paint and kick it out and move the ball around, because they're going to leave you open for the 3. He
That's a
said I
good
need
point.
new glasses frames.
Yeah.
Read about my glasses frames. I'm actually ordering some new ones now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Are they
But
from Zenny too?
oh yeah, always, bro.
Okay.
Listen,
Zenny's the
come on,
move.
bro. You can't
Zenny's the
beat this
move.
deal.
Oh no. That's
cost me,
not crap. Zenny or Warby Parker are the only two places I order glasses from.
Hey, bro, it cost me $20 and I can see. That's all I care about, bro. Must be like, no, I gotta go to the store and get that prescription. Yeah, put your teeth in, grandpa, and go order these online, bro.
Here's what I'll say. The Bulls have a unique situation in which they have a pretty decent schedule coming up. The New York Knicks, while they did beat them twice, they're still a very beatable team. The Houston Rockets are 9-22 on the season. That's a winnable game. Do you think the Bulls are riding a 4-game winning streak by the time we play Milwaukee at home? Are you willing to predict that? Do the Bulls get a 4-game winning streak together?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think we beat New York.
Listen, I can't even blame you
after watching the 2 games, right? It's not even just because I think like the Bulls are going to play bad against New York. I just think we don't match up well against them. Seeing Mitchell Robinson down, and the only way I think we match up well against them is if we possibly play Vooch and Drummond at the same time, because Mitchell Robinson ain't coming off that floor. You know what I mean? Like that's the biggest. I don't think we match up well with New York. I think P. Will can play Julius Randle well.
Yeah.
But then, like, Mitchell Robinson runs and Vooch can't.
Listen, it's so funny because when Vooch runs at his top speed, it's still like, hey, are you moving?
Nah, here's the thing. He's got a speed just above his top speed, but you better throw that ball to the ref real slow because he ain't getting back on defense.
Vooch is like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy when he's like, I'm moving so slow you can barely see me.
Yeah.
That's Vooch. Oh,
but
that's
the footwork
crazy.
is impeccable, bro.
The footwork is amazing, and once he gets to where he needs to be, he's good. It just may take him a minute to get there. That's all.
And here's the tough part, right? Like we're talking about operating through Vooch, right? We're talking about possibility of a 4-game win streak. I wouldn't sleep on Houston either, because you know what?
That team. Bro.
I will say this right now. I've said this. I don't know if I've said this on Locked On NBA. I know I've said this on the Breeze. Alpha-Breen Sengun has the best back to the basket footwork of any big man in the NBA right now. His footwork game is
better than Jokic?
Yes. Crazy, bro. Crazy. I'm sitting here watching. You know why I know? Because he was killing Jokic. I was watching. I was like, hey, Sengun got it. And he played like an old school big man too. But he got that. He got it, bro. He got it. I almost Justin Fields myself right there.
He did. He had back-to-back games against Denver, 18 points in each game, 11 rebounds in one, 7 rebounds in the other. That's crazy.
Hey, bro, he was cooking, bro. And I watched both of them, bro. He was cooking. Like I don't predict a good day for Vooch.
Well, I guess we'll see.
I'm gonna need Zach and DeMar to step up in that one. I don't predict a good day for Vooch. He got 2 tough games coming up.
It'll be an interesting game to see, man. But you got anything left? If not, let's go ahead and wrap it up, brother.
Nah, man. Let's get up out of here, man. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. That was a fun game to call, man. It was a fun live call today.
For sure. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, CEO Haize. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen. Now, make Locked On Sports Today your second listen. Peter Bukowski brings you the biggest stories from around the sports world in 20 minutes. Great analysis and opinions before anyone else with our local and national experts and insiders. Locked On Sports Today podcast available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls. We out this mug. Peace, y'all.
Peace.